Welcome back to the Candidly Created Studios. We're very excited to share a behind the scenes look at today's shoot. It's going to be a very special shoot for two reasons. The first reason is because we have Erina Tanaka in the studio, who's my favorite model, and I'm a little biased because she's my fiance. And the second reason is because of what is in this bag. So stay tuned, and I'm really excited to share what we have in store for today. So while I finish getting set up, Erina's actually going to share a little bit about herself and how long she's been working with Candidly Created. Take it away!
As Colton mentioned, my name is Erina Tanaka. I'm currently a dancer with Oklahoma City Ballet. I just joined this season, and I've been working with Candidly Created for almost 3 years now as their social media manager.
So the first modifier that I'm going to be getting set up today is actually a big umbrella. And I remember when I first started out with photography, I saw people using umbrellas and it reminded me of like JCPenney's photo shoots at the mall. But umbrellas are great, especially this sort of umbrella, which the light sort of bounces into the umbrella and then back at the subject, and it'll be diffused as well. It creates a really nice wash of soft light, which is going to be great for today because we're actually going to be playing with gels. And so this will be able to create a nice wash of whatever color we're working with. We'll see if it works. I've never done it before. And if not, we'll try something else. Beautiful. So for today's shoot, we're actually going to be using the white backdrop, which also sounds a little boring, but with gels, I feel like white is nice because it's nice and neutral. If we had gray, I might use that, but I think for what we're trying to do today, the white backdrop's going to be perfect. So in our mystery bag, we have a great product by Newer, which is a great company if you're looking for budget-friendly camera gear. We have an optical spot, which is something I've never used before, and I'm actually really excited that we have it now. There's a lot you can do with it, so I'm excited to play with it today and see what we're able to create. The last thing that I'm gonna do before we get everything else set up is I'm actually gonna close down all these blinds just because it's a new modifier and I don't really actually know how it's gonna work. I wanna control the light as much as possible, and so this is a really effective way to just block a lot of light, and then I have complete control over everything that's happening in the studio. So here's what we have going on so far. Let me just turn you around and show you what we're working with. So here's what we have so far. We have this umbrella right here. That's where the red is coming from that you see in this image. And then over here, we have Erina Casual. And then we have the optical spot right there, and that's what's creating that sort of spotlight effect with the really harsh edges that you're seeing in the image. I think we're gonna actually add another light, a third light, coming from the side, just to give her maybe a blue, just to contrast the red a little bit, and then I think we'll be pretty much good to go to start shooting. So down here now, I'm going to point the camera at Erina because that'll be more interesting to look at. And let's see what we get. Try and hold within reason for as long as you can, whenever you're ready. So that concludes our first lighting setup. I think it went really well overall, considering we've never worked with the optical spot before. I think the results are pretty cool. I think the only thing that we need to work on is maybe getting it such that it's not cutting off the line of the leg. Maybe that's like a space thing, maybe it needs to move further back. But overall, considering, I think we got some really cool stuff. So now we're gonna move on to lighting setup number 2 with a different look from Erina, and let's see what we get. So we moved everything around. What we're doing now is we're gonna have a nice wash of red from the front. We have another light on the side. That's sort of acting as our key light. That's gonna light the right side of Erina. It's a very sort of stark but interesting look. And then we're gonna have this one casting sort of slatted lights at the backdrop just to provide just a little bit more interest. And we're still playing around with this. You know, like many modifiers, they're made for portraiture, right? So from the hips up. And when we're trying to do a full body photo like we are in the studio, it becomes a little bit challenging because of space, right? Because if we want to make a nice big pattern on the back of the backdrop, you have to move this light really, really far away. So that's just something that we're sort of working with, and it's been a little bit of a challenge. The other thing is this thing is super heavy. It's super front heavy. So before we were using the B10X Plus lights from Pro-Photo, and what was happening is they were kept on tilting down as we were going forward, and it was kind of hard to sort of figure out how to get this to point where we wanted it to. So I changed to the ProPhoto D2. It's a little bit more of a hefty light and it has a better mechanism to secure it in place. And this seems to be working a little bit better. So just something to think of if you're going to be using an optical spot in your workflow. Okay, so here's sort of what we're working with right now. It's probably out of focus, so I'm just going to put it up on the screen right here, our test shot. So this is sort of the look that we have. Okay, ready? Pro wardrobe tip. So this blazer is actually, I bought it for myself online and it arrived and I couldn't fit my hands through the sleeves, so it became wardrobe for the studio. But it was a little bit too bulky around the waist for Erina. So what we actually did is we used a clamp. We probably could have even used like an A clamp that you'd use for a multitude of different things in photography. But I had this one. I'm not actually sure what it's for. I think it's for a reflector. And I just made sure to grab it, not getting her skin, clip it, and it makes it fit much better. So as long as you're not photographing the back of her outfit, you would never know. So we're handheld again. The lighting setup that we've created actually is really cool. I'm really happy with it. It's sort of inspired, it's very much inspired by a photo I saw that Lindsay Adler did. She's another amazing photographer and she does a lot of really very cool work. I think she actually has her own optical spot, so that's pretty sweet. So this is sort of what we're working with. Let me see if I can get it to focus. Very cool, almost like light is coming into a doorway. I think it looks really nice. Let me show you how I got this look. So what we did, behind me, you can see I have that big softbox right there. And that's just sort of filling in a lot of the light. And then above that, you'll see up there is the optical spot. So it's right above the softbox. And the reason it's placed that way is because if there's any difference as far as where the light is coming from, it'll actually create two shadows. And so by lining up the lights as close as possible, we actually mitigate that as much as we can. I'm not sure how Lindsay was able to get the shadows so crisp, something I'll have to keep experimenting with, but overall I think it's a really cool look. So let's take some photos. Love it. Nice. So thank you so much for following along. Honestly, we didn't take that many photos. I think it was a lot of just like trial and error and seeing what sort of worked. But in the end, I think we made a lot of really unique photos. We did a lot of stuff that we usually don't do. So I think it was still pretty successful. And I think it's interesting to see how we're able to implement and use the optical spot in future shoots. Now we have this great tool. We actually have a second one too. So I think it'll be really cool to use in the future now that we have a little bit more experience and know what it's like to work with, know some of its limitations. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out some of our previous videos if you want to see more behind the scenes. And we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.